trying to train our calves, it's really important to get different angles of knee flexion for different variations. So one of the reasons that we want to do that is because we have two prominent calf muscles behind our shin. So the first one is going to be our gastrocs, so the muscles that look like diamonds. And the next and kind of subtle muscle is the soleus, and that's going to be deeper under the gastroc. Can't really see it, but it's actually going to provide much more of the total mass and volume of the back of your calf here. So it's really important to train the soleus. So training the soleus is going to be a little bit more easy and advantageous whenever your knee is flexed. So seated calf raises are a really great example of that. If you note that like a seated calf raise might feel a little bit different than a standing calf raise, one of the reasons is probably because the soleus is kicking in a little bit harder than the gastrocs there, and it's creating a little bit of a difference. So most gyms do not have a seated calf raise, and the ones that they do are sometimes not the best, don't feel the best, maybe not built optimally for you and your structure. So it's good to have tools and variations in our back pocket to be able to modify for a seated calf raise, whether we have it or whether we don't have it or whether we do, and it's not that great of a machine. So the first and potentially most scalable version is going to be a dumbbell seated calf raise. So it's a little bit easier to go single leg here because if you're going both legs at the same time, it's hard to balance those dumbbells. But elevate your toes to get more range of motion. You're gonna put the load right on top of the end of your thigh or like the lower part of your thigh. And you're just gonna perform seated calf raises as you normally would. So it is gonna be important though to make sure that the seat of the bench that you're on is a little bit high enough so where it's replicatable. So where you don't have this really steep angle here. So this is probably actually a little bit too deep for me to get the majority out of my soleus that I'm trying to get. But this is the idea, the mechanics behind the dumbbell seated calf raise. You can perform those for, obviously high reps, but the important thing there is going to be increasing the height of the toes so you get more range of motion. You're not limited by the floor. The next variation that we can go to is going to be doing it on a lying hamstring curl. So not every machine hamstring curl is going to be able to support this movement. You have to be able to adjust this ankle pad. You have to make sure that you have this seat is in a good position, et cetera, et cetera. But a few of them, maybe you might get lucky and you have a machine that's suitable for this. So the way you're gonna do it is you're going to walk the end of your thighs under the pad and you're gonna perform seated calf raises. Easy enough. If you want to, you can also elevate your toes just like I did over there with the dumbbell version and you're gonna get more range of motion that way. But the angle of this pad and the angle of the arm bar back here, it's actually kind of pulling me this way anyway. So I'm kind of starting out in a more dorsiflexed ankle position. So I'm already kind of in a stretch position here anyway. But these actually are gonna feel pretty good. It's actually the closest replica to a seated calf raise that I've found. But those are a bit more difficult, obviously, if you don't have a lying leg raise or lying leg curl, or if the machine is not, super compatible with you trying to replicate that movement on it. The last variation that I want to go over is the squatting calf raise. So squatting calf raise, the easiest way to do it is just going to be, and I'll hold on to this, squat down to a parallel squat position, so about 90 degrees of knee flexion. And you're going to just perform the same movement pattern that you would if you're performing a seated calf raise on a machine. So here, but you're using your body weight rather than external load as a resistance. And if you perform these, you'll note pretty quickly that your calves feel like they're gonna cramp up. That's because they're really weak in that full plantar flex position. And with these squatting calf raises, you can actually get much more plantar flexion than you would from this machine or a traditional seated calf raise. So those are very difficult. You have to really take it slow, otherwise you're gonna catch a cramp. But these three variations are really easy to implement if you don't have a seated calf raise. I would say dumbbell version is probably the most suitable for most people. They're really trying to load it up. Lying leg curl, probably the best if you're really looking for like feel and consistency. Squatting calf raise, maybe for like portability and ease of use, but all three are great replicas and also modifications for lacking a seated calf raise.